Welcome, dear listeners, to Pigheads and Skyscrapers, Unmasking Society's Underbelly. I'm your host, Khulude Cassie, and together we embark on a journey that parallels the haunting duality of human nature and the towering structures of society. Imagine our world as a tapestry, where the decaying pig's head represents the primal instincts and flaws within us, juxtaposed against the towering skyscrapers, symbols of power and ambition. In today's episode, we delve deep into the pages of William Golding's Lord of the Flies, not merely as a literary exploration, but as a mirror reflecting the shadows and heights of our reality. Here, irrationalism, ignorance, greed, and power intertwine with American politics and the environment, shaping the intricate fabric of our existence. To navigate this thought-provoking landscape, we are joined by three expert guides, illuminating the threads that connects literature, politics, and the world at large. So pay close attention, dear listeners, as we unmask the underbelly of our modern society where the beasts and giants within us strive for dominance. Our first question for guest one, Miss Jones, is: how do the character arcs in Lord of the Flies reflect the darker aspects of human nature, and in what ways can we see similar dynamics in present-day societal interactions?
I think in Lord of the Flies, the whole concept is right that it's a group of young boys that have been trapped on an island, and they have to really figure out how to survive. Sort of the common agreements, right, that we all have about the way we're going to behave. You can see how that instinctual behavior of sort of our animalistic side starts to come out a little bit more.
That's an interesting point you've made about how the absence of guidance and rules in the novel brings out the darker aspects of human nature. While you try to answer the second question, can you possibly expand on how this instinctual behavior relates to the similar dynamics in today's society? Our next question touches upon the loss of innocence, a central theme in the novel. How does this theme resonate with the idea that humanity, both in the novel and in society, often grapples with the tension between creation and destruction as inherent aspects of life?
I think Piggy wants to hold on to it. He wants to be able to hold on to that idea of being able to remain innocent and helpful and try to avoid some like the violence that the others start to seek out. I think when you have sort of a loss of all guidance and a loss of all normal societal rules and sort of I think it stays there with some of the little boys who just, especially the younger ones.
You've brought up Piggy's desire to maintain innocence, which is a significant theme in the book. While answering the third question, can you explain how this theme of innocence relates to the broader tension between creation and destruction, both in the novel and society today? In Lord of the Flies, how does society often treat its own voices of reason, and why are they sometimes marginalized or ignored? Are there parallels between this phenomenon in the book and real-world scenarios?
I think when you're really thinking about the voice of reason in both novels and thematic works or in society, the voice of reason often is the voice that's saying something that's going to be hard for others to hear or against what they want. The voice of reason, right, the reason it gets marginalized is because it's asking us to be able to step away from ourselves and our emotion and become just more mentally aware of what's going on.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. It's in fact intriguing to consider how reason can be overshadowed by emotions, even in our society today. That is because the voice of reason is often marginalized in society because it challenges people's desires and emotions, which you can use this concept to draw parallels between the phenomenons that occur in the book and real-world scenarios. Lastly, we come to the conflict between adhering to societal rules and yielding to impulsive instincts. How does this conflict align with broader challenges in society when it comes to ethical behavior and impulses? Can you provide examples from real-world contexts where individuals or groups grapple with similar dilemmas?
So when you're talking about impulse, especially, I think, in my role on this campus, I've seen it a lot with students and wanting to accomplish something together. That one action then can cause everybody else to flip and to go into that same kind of destructive mode when you're just thinking about it that way. I think on social media, it's pretty easy to do it too.
It's fascinating how you've linked the conflicts between societal rules and impulsive instincts to group dynamics, especially in a campus setting. I completely agree with your response. conflict between adhering to societal rules and yielding to impulsive instincts, particularly in group dynamics, can provide examples of how this conflict plays out on real-world contexts such as social media and group behavior. Now, let's pivot to our next expert, Miss York, who specializes in psychology, to delve even deeper into the connections between Lord of the Flies and contemporary society. Miss York, my next question is for you. Golding's work explores the themes of civilization versus savagery through character journeys. How do these journeys symbolize traits that echo in our modern world? And in what ways can we draw connections between the characters' experiences on the island and contemporary societal dynamics?
I definitely think that we can see savagery versus civilization in Golding, but also in modern society today through the characters of Ralph versus Jack, especially. Ralph represents what we want civilization to be, a balance between understanding the rules and wanting to follow the rules.
Thank you, Ms. York. Your response provides a great analysis of how Golding's exploration of civilization versus savagery and Lord of the Flies can be related to contemporary societal dynamics, particularly in the context of power and corruption. My second question for you revolves around fear, a potent force in Lord of the Flies. How does fear influence human behavior? And can you draw parallels between the characters' experiences in the novel and real-world instances where fear has shaped collective actions?
In my opinion, I think fear is an emotion that can control us more than almost anything but love. So I think fear is something to be afraid of. In history, I can think of the Salem witch trials. Fear is an overwhelming emotion that takes over these people, and they do these. If you look throughout history, the terrorist attacks were overrun by fear. We can treat people who've done nothing wrong incorrectly, wrongly, unfairly. And so I definitely think fear is an emotion that we react to irrationally.
Fear's influence is indeed significant, as you've mentioned, especially when it comes to aligning with groups or ideologies. As we approach the final part of our journey, let's not forget the role of technology in media in shaping our society. Our final question takes us into the realm of communication. Lord of the Flies highlights the consequences of failed communication and misunderstandings among the characters. How does this theme relate to the issues of it in modern society, including the realms of politics and social media?
Biggest thing I saw when I read it was you had two people that wanted to be the leader. It's the same with wolves. There's only one male alpha, all right? Well, in this part, these two couldn't decide who was going to be the male alpha, the leaders, so they ended up dividing. They had their own leaders, but that ended up dividing the people, which, in the long run, you're divided on an island. That miscommunication is going to end it. And funny how Piggy was picked on, and he was fat, short. Ralph was using his information to make decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Pauly, for that insightful discussion on the role of leadership, conflicts, and miscommunication in Lord of the Flies. It's clear that these themes are not only relevant to the novel, but can also resonate with many real-world situations we face today. As we conclude this immersive journey through pigheads and skyscrapers unmasking society's underbelly, we find ourselves standing at the intersection of allegory and reality. Through the lens of Lord of the Flies, we've uncovered the ever-present dichotomy of our nature, where the decaying pig's head and the towering skyscrapers serve as symbols of our deepest flaws and loftiest aspirations. In this exploration, we've confronted the shadows of irrationalism, ignorance, greed, power, and violence that not only shape the pages of literature but also leave their indelible marks on American politics and the environment. Our expert guests have guided us through the intricate tapestry of our modern world, illuminating the connections between literature, society, and the human condition. As we bid farewell, let us remember that understanding the underbelly of society is the first step towards change. It's a reminder that in the balance between the pig's head and the skyscrapers, we have the power to shape our collective destiny. Thank you for joining us on this thought-provoking voyage, and may you continue to explore the depths and heights of our complex world with open eyes and open hearts.